Hello, Sai. How are you?
Hi, Yaakov.
Hi.
Oh, I think
So
we
I
started
just,
at 8:10.
yeah, at 8:10. I just saw that. Yeah, I didn't know that. I think earlier. Let's see what Ernie said.
You
Yeah,
actually,
he says, yeah, okay. Yeah,
yeah,
he's,
you
yeah,
actually scared me. I jumped up and just dropped everything and ran over. I go, oh my God.
yeah,
And I forgot it was 8:10, but then I remembered it was 8:10.
yeah. Ian, the headline says Tzurba Bay 16, 8 p.m. Then in the body it
Yeah,
says 8.
I think he's reused that a few times.
I mentioned it once, saying, he because he once said that he had a different day. He had Tuesday
Yeah,
when it was Wednesday. I said, and it said Tuesday, May,
right,
whatever. I
right.
said, if you're gonna make it Wednesday, you need to change it. Anyway,
It's,
so be it.
yeah, yeah. Common
So
thing to forget to change that subject line
yeah,
when you reuse it.
yeah, 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 yeah. Hello.
Okay, so you heard,
Everybody.
maybe he didn't text it, but basically says he'll be there at 8:10.
Right, right.
Yeah. No,
After
he says it
finishing.
in the body, in the email at the top, of course, it says 8 p.m., but in the body it says 8:10.
Yeah. All right.
That's fine. I just got a little worried. I actually signed out and signed in again, saying that I get the wrong number or whatever.
The year of Avelis is not easy for many reasons.
Oh yeah, that's for sure. That is for sure.
Walter was telling me over the weekend that he would like to get one of the books that the book that you published. How can he get it?
Just put my name in Amazon, Yaakov Yellin, Yakov Yellin, and it'll come up.
Okay.
Simple
He'll
enough.
be on the shear in a few minutes, so you can.
Okay.
But if he doesn't ask, I'll tell him. All right.
Yeah. When he comes on, I'll just put it in the chat to him,
Okay.
directly to him. It's interesting that the Smichas Chaver program is covering the exact same thing as the Tzurba right now. And that's happened before also, and I think it's purely coincidental. Of course, nothing's coincidental in this world, but there's no plan. For the Tzurba share, I go to the one at Link, and not so the Simchas Chaver, and they're covering Hilchas and Tel Shaddayim. It's really interesting. I hear it twice.
I think the Chevra in Lakewood have started to put out a weekly shir called Shavisi, basically taking topics and discussing. I went to a shir like that last week. It's different,
like,
but basically, maybe they're seeing the success of the Tzurba in our community, and so they're looking to do something similar.
Yeah. So I go to Houston quite a bit, and they also have, they have sort of also done. So it's all over, obviously.
Yeah. Walter, sign in. Sign in. It's down to 3 points. I just shut it off. I thought for sure Denver was winning. So that's why Ernie's not on the Zoom yet. He's watching the game.
That's why he made it 8:10. He figured by then Denver would be way ahead.
All right. That's funny. Denver is a pretty remarkable team. I just watched for a little while.
They are. fact that they're down for 3. Let me see what's going on the,
Yeah, they were up by 20.
yeah. The NBA,
That's
Yeah,
the same
3
thing that
points.
the Lakers did to Golden State.
right, 3 points. You got the ball with 3 minutes to go. Okay, we got to ignore that. Hello.
Mazur, hello.
Good evening.
Hi, Mario.
Mario.
What page should we be in today?
59.
59. Okay.
Good evening.
Evening.
Here's Harold. Okay, I think we left off on page 59.
Yeah, we did.
Correct.
So one of the most important halachot necessary to fulfill the mitzvah of Netilas Yadayim is the requirement to use a kli. The Gemara and Chulin indicate that using a kli is a requirement, and you must ensure that the kli is whole. And there's some other requirements for the water. So Masech Chulin Daf Kuv Zayin Amud Aleph. Amar le Rav Sheshes Lameim. Ha'im kabditu amona? Are you makbid? Are you careful that the kli that you use for Netilas Yadayim is whole? Thank you. Amar le Ameim are in, yeah. And what about achazusa? Chazusa is the appearance of the water. Amar le Ameim are in. What about ashiyura? What about the shir? Amar le Ameim are in. Yes, he's also makbid about that it has to be at least a reviz. Ikedi Amir Amar le. Amana v'chazusa kabdina. Other people say that the vessel is whole and that the water has to be clear. They're makbid, but ashir lo kabdina. But they weren't makbid on the shir. The Tanya may reviz. Noitli adayim le'echad afilu shtayim. If you have just a one revius of water, you could use it to wash one person's hands or two people's hands. Mashma, that a minimum of revius is not needed. However, the Gemara concludes velohi, shiny also mishum deka also mishyari tahara. There it started out with at least a revius. That's why it worked. So you need a minimum of revius. Askin Rav Yaakov min Arkod, not labas reviosa. He had a vessel to use for Netilas Yadayim that could contain at least a revius. And Askin Rav Ashi B'hutzl Kuza bas reviosa. He also used a vessel which was made out of clay, but then it also was a revius. Now the Rishonim, the Rashba explains that a vessel is required because Netilas Yadayim was modeled after the Torah's rules of purification for a person who came in contact with a dead body, where water together with the ashes of the paraduma had to be placed in a vessel. Or they could have modeled it after the daily sanctification of the Kohanim by the Kior, right? Which also required a vessel. Says the Rashba in his commentary on Chulin, because of Ba'alochos, that's the Bahag, the Baal Halachos Gedolos, who was an earlier codifier of halacha. He lived in 800, 900,000, about that time. The Rashba is about 1,200, 1,300. So the Rashba is quoting the Bahag, who is posting from the Gemara that we just learned. Why did the Gemara go through this discussion that they were makpid for a kli? Because das mechina rabban mechatas. The Chachamim who came up with this Natilas Yadayim were basing it on the fact that in order to be purified with waters of the paraduma, with the ashes dissolved, has to be in a kli. Or inami al kiddush yadav raglaim the mekadshi. The mekadosh diktani ein mumalim ve'mekadshi ve'maz mechatas el bekli. The Kohanim would wash their hands and feet from the kior. Kior is a kli. They were like faucets, and they would put their hands and feet underneath the faucet. But the water had to start off in the kior and the kli. So, what type of vessels may be used for Natilas Yadayim? According to the Mishnah Yadayim, all vessels. Says the Mishnah Yadayim, b'chol ha'kelim nosim Yadayim, afilu b'klei galolim. Galolim is dung from an animal, but in the ancient times, they would make pottery out of it. They would glaze it and fire it, or b'klei avonim, kelim made out of stone, or b'klei adoma, kelim made out of dirt, like clay. And the Shulchan Aruch codifies this in our siman that we're learning Kufnan Tes. V'kol ha'kelim ksherim, afilu klei galolim, kelim asuim mirefesh boker v'ofar. It's a combination of animal dung with dirt, or stoneware, or earthenware. Now, does this principle that all types of vessels may be used include disposable vessels? What about a plastic or paper cup that you throw away? The Dayan Weiss, Minchas Yitzchak, who didn't pass away that long ago, and was the posek for the Eida Charedis for many years in Yerushalayim, he disqualifies them from use. They're not considered to be a kli. Even dein derech klal yishtamish behem pamayim. You don't use a paper cup or a plastic cup twice. So dami shaper lahadistan bekelim sham. That the Mishnah over there said that if you intends to throw away a vessel after one use, it doesn't have the status of a kli. So therefore, a plastic or paper cup that you're going to throw away doesn't have the status of a kli. Therefore, you can't use a paper cup or plastic cup, a disposable cup, for kiddush. The main focus of the Minchas Yitzchak in his Tzurba is whether one may recite kiddush upon a disposable cup. But those halachas are similar to that of Natilas Yadayim.
Yeah, Ernie?
Yes?
Yeah, in most shuls, in Shabbos, you make a kiddush in shul, they have those little plastic cups and people make kiddush on that. So you're saying you can't make kiddush on a disposable cup?
No.
Interesting. So what's the solution? You have to have regular glasses to make
Well,
kiddush in shul?
no. The person makes kiddush, who's going to make kiddush for everybody, should make it from a proper kli, and then you disperse into little vessels.
But I'm saying in shul, the kiddush by the shul is only disposable. That's its problem.
Yeah, but there's usually a kos. There's usually
Yeah.
a yayin kos. You're talking about You're talking about scotch.
Yeah.
You can,
thought-
but you can wash your hands in a running river, a running stream without a cup, can't you? Can you dip your hands in a stream and without having a cup at all?
So that's you're talking about a ma'ayan. It has, if it's a ma'ayan, like a spring, a natural spring, so we'll see what the dinim of that is, that you could serve as a mikveh. So, but the din of the Tilas Yadayim has been established with a kli. And the kli has to be a non-disposable kli. And now the din of Kiddush is the same thing. There are other tshuvas regarding using disposable cups for Kiddush. There's an Igris Moshe who was also stringent. The Tzitz Eliezer was more lenient. So there were poskim, Harold, that were more lenient regarding using disposable cup for Kiddush.
But today, the disposable cups, some of them, like the clear plastic, which are strong, and I've seen also bechers that they make they make a becher out of a stronger plastic and everything else. It's washable, so I'm not sure if it's considered a disposable cup. That's what you're talking about, Harold. When somebody makes kiddush on, first of all, kiddush on whiskey, it's not talking about kiddush on yain. So I'm not sure if you're allowed to make kiddush on yain on a disposable cup. That's kiddush.
Yeah, you're right. Makes sense. Yeah,
it's kiddush on yain. And the rest you can, the other cups are not, they are disposable. We throw them away, but you could ostensibly wash them.
If your intent is to dispose of it after one use, then it's considered disposable. And in a chanami, if one has a substantial plastic vessel that he's going to use over and over and over again, we're not talking about that. That would be okay. The gather here is from the Mishnah in Kalim was that if your intent to use the kli once, it's not considered a kli. Now, the Yalkut Yosef disagrees and maintains that disposable cups are acceptable for Netilas Yadayim. I don't know what he holds about Kiddush. This is also the view of many other poskim, such as Rav Vosner, especially when there's no other vessel available. Says Rav Yitzchak Yosef, Kosa Asui Min Yarmei Karton, a cup made out of paper cardboard, that serves to hold the liquid, or any cup that was disposable, those of you who went to Camp Moshava and went on overnight camps, we certainly used disposable cups for Netilas Yadayim. We didn't take the regular kalim that we had in the Chadar Ochel, brought them with us usually. So I mean, we were relying on this leniency. If you're on an airplane, most people who've made Netilas Yadayim in an airplane usually use a paper or plastic cup. That's usually all that you have.
Yeah, I just told Pierre, I was on LL last week, and they have because of the owners or whatever. Now I saw that when you go into the restroom, they actually have a proper Netilas Yadayim kli, like you have in your house, a little one, but it's a smaller one. They made it specially, and it fits into like a holder. And they have a Netilas Yadayim. How you're going to make it in that bathroom, I'm not sure, but you have a Netilas Yadayim kli. That I think they forgot that out of the they make it. It's like, especially in those bathrooms, you don't. It's okay.
Well, you make the bracha outside of the bathroom.
I understand.
Do it when you dry your hands.
It's a very nice gesture that they did that. I was really amazed, like in the morning, for Netilas Yadayim, and that it's really nice.
Yeah,
So,
very, very nice.
a reason to pay extra and fly LL, remember that.
Okay. Orlet Sion recommends being strict unless one has no other option, in which case he should not recite a bracha. Or you designate the vessel for a fixed use. You shouldn't use a one-time cup in Bidaito Lizroko if you're going to throw it away. You should wash your hands, but no make a bracha. The best thing would be to designate the disposable cup as that's what you're going to use all the time. Then you could yitel bo yodav b'bracha. Then you could make a bracha as well. The Gemara in Chulin presents two additional rules concerning the vessel used for Netilas Yadayim. Holes in the vessel larger than a certain size, pasulin, and the size of the vessel must be larger than a revius. Amrav Yaakov, kli shenikev the konas mashke. If the hole in the cup is big enough that it would allow liquid to enter, so ein noitli mimenu liyadayim. Vamarava kli shein bo revius ein noitli mimenu liyadayim. So those are also gedorim. If you have a damaged kli, enough that if you soaked it in a large vessel of water and water would come into the kli, that's the test, then it would be invalid for the use of Netilas Yadayim. It's not if water leaks out of it. The hole can be bigger. You can have a really small hole where water will leak out but not come in. The hole has to be bigger. It's a leniency. The hole has to be a little bit bigger for water to come in because there's air pressure preventing water from coming in when you submerge a kli into a let's say a large thing of water. Okay. With regard to the second halacha, contemporary poskim discuss the exact amount of revius using modern measurements. The Piskei Tzurba summarizes the opinions and writes that since Chazal urge using plenty of water from the same, one should ideally always go more stringent. George 162.
Thank you.
At Tzurba. We're dealing with the size of the kli that you need to use for Netilas Yadayim. You need to have at least
62, not 160.
62. So the Piskei Tzurba, the Piskei Tzurba in his commentary on our sim and Kufnun test, B'shir Revius Yadua, 150 cc's, cubic centimeters. L'shitas hamachmirim. 8 ounces is 300 cc's. So 150 cc's is 4 ounces. U'l'shitot, and the smallest shear is 86 cc's. U'le'in Netilas Yadayim shumin rabbanon, efshar midin l'hakel k'shir hakotan. You could be lenient since the whole inner of Netilas Yadayim is mirabbanon. Ach kvar tzavul on Chazal lito mayim b'shefa. Chazal in their exercise said, you should use as much water as you can. Lachein nachon sheyeh l'chol hapachos k'fi shir revius hagadol. You should use the larger measurement. While kolpanim imakli machzik pachos mashir shel 86 cc's also netilas klal. If the kli was less than 86 cc's, so we said 150 was 4 ounces, 80, so a little bit more than 2 ounces. It's not good enough. That means you continuously poured it on your hands multiple times. If it doesn't hold at least 86 in the kli at one time, it's not going to be good. Now, regarding the halacha concerning when a hole invalidates the vessel, the Torah explains that the measurement referred to as a hole that enables more water to seep in than can be poured out through the spout. Im nikiv b'koines mashke, if the hole is large enough that you could bring fluid in, perush. Shim yasimu oto ala mashkin yichnasu b'tocho derech hanekin, that if you put this kli into another kli that was full of water, and water would come in through this hole. But like I said, this is a bigger hole than the size of a hole that water would come out of a kli. So if it's the larger size, asbata mitoras kli, it loses its shame kli. They not to be mentally a dime. And even if it holds a revius from the hole to the bottom, that means, let's say you have a hole in the side of the vessel, and it can hold a revius from below the hole to the bottom of the vessel, where you would think, well, the hole's not, there's a revius below there. The hole's not going to make it, but it invalidates the kli. The kli is considered as if it's broken. And the Shulchan Aruch rules the way the two are explained the Gemara. Im nikif v'konis mashke, da'aynu im sheyasimu oto al mashke v'yichnasu b'tocho derech hanekev, v'hu gadol minekev sh'hamashke misoch hakli yotzim. But we said this is a larger hole than the hole that's required to have fluid leak out of it. Az batal mitaras kli, ve'notam ben yadayim. It's not considered a kli. You may not use it, even if afilu machzik revius b'hanekev l'mato. Now, the 150 cc opinion is the Chazon Ish. The more lenient is Rav Chaim Naeh. The dispute with respect to size revius affects a number of others Erev Halacha, such as the size of a Kiddush cup used for reciting Kiddush on Shabbos. So those little cups on for Scotch on Shabbos are clearly not the proper size to make Kiddush on.
Well, you're supposed to put 4 ounces of scotch or 8 ounces of scotch.
You cannot use that little kli to make Kiddush in it because it's not a big enough.
No, but I'm saying if you want to do it with scotch, you've got to serve. Wow.
4 ounces. Well, but then you then give it to different people in the little. Like when you make Kiddush, you pass it.
You're sure you're not talking about yain over here? Kiddush on Shabbos morning is not. You're talking about Kiddush on Friday night. I understand. First of all, Kiddush on Shabbos morning is a different halacha.
Yeah, but the Kiddush that you make there is Boyer Priya Geffen. That's the Kiddush. You don't say Yom HaShishi. There's not Kiddush Derabba, which is Kiddush during the day, Shabbos. Boyer Priya Geffen. That's Kiddush. Now,
Okay, but that's Kiddush.
Yeah, now people make their Kiddush b'Malkam Suda and they make a shahakol and they eat a mazonos and that's their Kiddush too. So that you're still making Kiddush. You're not doing Kiddush on Yayin, but you're making Kiddush. They say you can make Kiddush on Yayin Saraf and as well. So
I'm
that your Yotzei Kiddush. Otherwise, you wouldn't be able to eat anything in shul. Yeah, you made Kiddush.
I understand you make Kiddush, but the
And
Kiddush
it's
is a
Kiddush
different halacha.
and it's Kiddush b'Malkam Suda because you have food.
I understand. I understand you fully.
That's why Rabbi Einer many times he would make Kiddush from a kos yayin. They'd open the door so he could see out whatever because you want to be able to see where the food is to fulfill Kiddush b'Malkam Suda. And he's motzi everybody in Kiddush, and then you can do whatever you want. Okay. Right.
I'm sure a lot of people would be very happy with 4 ounces of whiskey.
Scotch.
Yeah, but you doesn't have to drink the whole 4 ounces. You just put it into a smaller cup.
Yeah, but you have a of course and the
Oh, by the way, Walter, in
Yeah.
shul, somebody is motzi everybody with Kiddush. We wait. Rabbi Einer comes out and makes Kiddush, or I make Kiddush, and then everyone heard Kiddush. Then they can drink from whatever cup they want. But to make Kiddush on that small cup, let's say Esti comes out, and you want to make Kiddush on that little cup, that's probably not the right thing to do.
I'm not sure. I can feel the halacha. Yeah, first of all, it's on yain.
Well, there's a lenient opinion of Rav Naeh that you can have, if the kos has 86 cc's, that's enough. But again, the disposability of the kos, perhaps. Now again, there was the leniency regarding that too. The Tzitz Eliezer.
What year was this written?
Where? What? The Tzitz Eliezer? We know lived. What do you?
No, because the disposable cups that they talked of in those days are not the same as the disposable cups that they talk of.
Of course, that's what they're dealing with. Rav Yosef, what do you mean? Yalkut Yosef is alive. The Tzitz Eliezer certainly saw our cups. The Chazon Ish certainly saw our cups. Absolutely.
Ernie, I read somewhere that it doesn't invalidate it as a kli that it's disposable. These days, the reason why it's disposable is because it's so cheap. It is a kli nonetheless, and therefore the cost of it allows you to dispose of it, not the fact that it's not a kli. That's what I read somewhere.
Those little things.
Yeah,
If
that's what I'm talking about.
If it's going to be washed and used multiple times, then it's not disposable. Then it would not
No,
be a
but
problem. The only problem that would be with it would be that's the content. If your intent is to use it once and throw it away, it does not fulfill the status of a kli. That's what we learned tonight.
No, yeah, but I think there's some other opinions out there.
Well, I said that Tzitz
this is
Eliezer is more lenient. The Tzitz Eliezer
What do you
has
mean?
a Rav Moshe is machmir. Rav Moshe is machmir regarding this
But
issue.
Moshe was at the time
But
when
the
they didn't
Tzitz
have
Eliezer is more lenient
disposable cups.
regarding
This is
disposal.
Mario. Who are you with?
Listen, that's why I'm sure that a lot of people take a
Yes,
second
okay.
thought, so that they were Makayim the
Can you
kli.
put him on the phone, please?
I didn't hear what Walter said.
No, I said that's why some people take a second shot of whiskey, so they're Makayim the kli. It's not to throw away.
Okay, the Mishnah Berurah explains that a hole smaller than the size. By the way, this issue is being dealt with tangentially, but very soon we're going to be learning Hilchos Shabbos, and the beginning of Hilchos Shabbos is Hilchos Kiddush. And I'm sure we'll have a brief discussion of this issue, both the Kiddush Friday night and the Kiddush Shabbos lunch will be discussed, and we'll see the leniencies and the stringencies.
Yeah, but
They're
Friday,
treating it tangentially here.
you know that Kiddush Friday night is completely different halacha. So then Kiddush on Shabbos morning.
Okay. The Mishnah Berurah explains that a hole smaller than the size mentioned is halachically insignificant and does not qualify the vessel. The Eloah rak nekev cotton shamashkin yotzim bo. Let's say you had a small hole that if you put liquid in it, you'd see a little leak, but that if you put the kli into a container with a lot of water, no fluid comes in because of the air pressure that I mentioned before. So choshev kekli sholem v'notlim derech pi. This kli is not invalidated, and it would be a good kli. The Shulchan Aruch writes in the next seif, Kufnun Tes Beis, based on their Rosh, that where the hole is large enough to disqualify the vessel, it is only disqualified when the person pours the water normally from the spout on the top of the vessel, as the section of the vessel from the hole upward is not considered a halachic kli. But if one pours the water out from the hole, then one can treat the portion of the vessel underneath the hole as a halachic kli, and the tila is still valid. Meaning, if you poured, let's say, at a hole on the side of a vessel, and actually you're going to obtain the water through that hole, he says, then that it would be okay. Because from the hole to the top of the kli is not a kli. Since the kli is invalid from the hole to the top, the water is coming to your hands not through a valid kli. But if the hole was on the side of the kli and you wash your hands through that, because let's say you have this kli here, and there's a hole here, and from the hole to the bottom is a revius, then you're okay. Because from there to the hole, the kli is okay. So if you don't pour it from the spout, from the top of it, you would be okay. However, the Mishnah Berurah cites many achronim who disagree with the Shulchan Aruch, but the Mishnah Berurah rules that if one has no other vessel, you can rely on it. The Mishnah Berurah also rules that one is permitted to perform the Netilas Yadayim using other non-earthenware vessels, even if they have a hole. The Chol Udas Shulchan Aruch Shatik Lidin is Divrei Tur. That if you have an earthenware kli designated for fluid, it invalidates the whole kli. So the Mishnah Berurah points out that the poskim disagree with the Shulchan Aruch. It's not like a faucet, like a faucet is put in like in a beer keg in the side of a vessel. But a hole that was made that way, a hole in the side of a vessel wasn't made that way. That's based on the Chai Adam. If you have an earthenware kli that's normally holding food, not liquid, and there's a larger hole that is needed to invalidate such a kli, a hole that an olive would fall out of. Other vessels not made of cheres, like metal or wood, which still are makabel tuma. Hey, Sep, I'm teaching now. I called you back, but you didn't answer then. I'll have to call you later after I teach. Okay. Meaning, you can take any kli and make it tahor from tumah by breaking it. That's what we like. If it has a large hole in it, that everyone agrees that you could do Netilas Yadayim from its hole, like the Shulchan Aruch said. The Yalkut Yosef rules that since it's a machloketh, whether one may use a vessel with a hole by pouring water from the hole, one should therefore perform the Netilas Yadayim without reciting a bracha, since all brachas are d'Rabbanan, and if it's suffik d'Rabbanan, we always go l'kula, and we don't make the bracha. Einot le'adam mikli nekev or saduk. You don't do Netilas Yadayim from a kli that has a hole or a crack or broken. V'nikava kli b'konis hamashke, if it's the size of bringing in fluid. Umachzik revius min hanekev lamata, even if it can hold revius from the hole down. Now, if it can hold that, and ve'en lo kli acher litol bos yodav muter litol yodav mikli zed derech hanekev. He paskins like the Shulchan Aruch, which we, of course, he's a Sfardi and he would do that. You can pour the water out of the hole, but lo yivarch al Netilas Yadayim. So that's the status of a vessel with a hole. What is the halach of the vessel or cup is cracked? The Mishnah Berurah addresses this and notes that Achronim disagree, and he distinguishes between different types of vessels. Yesh ba'achronim shekosvu, the cause of a nikiv. These heterim is with a hole. Aval benizdak, if it's cracked, afim mazik revius lamata me'astak, even though if you measure from the crack to the bottom of the kli, it can hold a revius. Vafilei rak kemotzi mashke, and the crack is not very big. All you do is it can only seep water out. It doesn't bring water in. Puzzle. The choshev keshever kli. It's considered as if you broke the kli. Gam ligin tuma. Vatam. You shouldn't have been nizdek atida lizdalik kula. A crack is just the beginning. If it's cracked, it's going to crack and become destroyed. A cup missing a handle is not a problem. such a cup is assumed to be permitted since it's usable without the handles. Now, the Mishnah Berurah continues. He holds that a crack is like a hole. That if drop by drop it comes out of the crack, the azav kikodes mashke, it's like bringing in water. The ayin b'chai adam, Rav Danziger, shekasav dimein lo kliacher, yuchal ismach adas ataz lakabuzeh. If you have another kli, you can use the leniency of the taz. Vafilu das habach, right? The bach is the commentary on the tour. Near it to be clean choshes, copper, or sharkli matres, or other metals, like aluminum. The chazokim, hein, they're strong. That if it's a little bit of crack, then it's not worse than a hole. So the Taz and the Bach disagree whether a cracked vessel is equivalent to one with a hole or is more strict. But metal or other vessels are certainly equivalent to a vessel with a hole. Do plastic vessels have the same status as earthenware ones with respect to Netilas Yadayim? According to Piskei Teshuvos, they do have the same status as earthenware, and a cracked plastic cup will often be disqualified. Aval kli plastic, dinam kekli cheres. Now, we're not talking about disposable. We all have non-glass cups made out of plastic. That's what they're talking about, but that you wash and you use over and over again. So yesh lifsol b'hem stak kol du. If you have any crack, it would be a problem. Elam kain ein lo kli acher. But if you have no other kli, vein noitif mazdak tifach hartif, and it doesn't come drip by drip by drip, you might have a leniency. Gemara in Chulin discusses whether you can use a sack. Sock the kupa. Kupa is a basket. Afal pisha makablim tuma. Ein noitel me'am liyadayim. Sock. I don't know what he's talking about. A sack. I guess like a water bottle, like like a hot water bottle that they used to have. I don't know what other kind
Maybe
of.
it's like a burlap sack. Could be like a burlap type sack.
Right. So, but it would.
You know, they have those wine skins. It's like a bottle, but it's soft.
Who knows?
Right, but would that hold water? I mean, a wine skin would.
Sure, it holds
Yeah,
liquid.
sure.
Yeah, it holds liquid, but it's soft. It's not hard.
Okay.
Sock usually refers to like a burlap type or
Yeah,
whatever.
like sackcloth.
Yeah.
But I was concerned that would hold water.
I mean, it would for a while. It won't rush right through. It'll take a little time.
So sak v'kupa sheskinen l'shabes below smicha v'zaftin b'zefet. Oh, and you use pitch so that they would not leak. Ache b'kablim mashkim, so you could put water in them and they don't leak. Ein noitel mem liyadayim. They're not generally used for liquids. The Mishnah Berurah explains that when there's no water in them, it cannot be treated as having a base kibul, since the sides of the wall do not remain apart. Interesting, right? A sack with empty is going to be, it's not going to have a base kibul is a receptacle. So you need to have a receptacle where the walls of it are apart in the normal state.
So they have for travel, these collapsible.
Like a backpack with that contain, you can put in a.
Something like that. It's so that you don't have to buy water when you're at the airport. You just fill it up at a water fountain, and it collapses. But it's once it has water in it, it has a shape and it can hold water very well. According to this, you would be able to use it because
You would not be able to.
You would not.
It needs a base kibul, a natural base kibul. Ein a chashav base kibul shlam below tikkun moshav shekshein me'em mayim ein be'em chalal ela munach zalzel. The Mishnah Berurah says, when it's empty, one side of the sack lies on the other sack, on the other wall. The Piskei Tshuva summarizes using a bag or a sack. Mikan nilmad l'inyan sakiyot nylon, a nylon sack, v'gumi arakim, or rubber. Shekashem b'hem mayim nisbatel hachalal shalehem. Since without water there's no empty space. Psulim l'titzot yadayim be'echlet. They're puzzled. Afal pi shoysim l'kabel mashkin. They are made for fluid, and ein b'hem shum nekev. There's no hole. V'afi minuchim b'toch kli v'akli machzik es nylon sheyeh patuach. And the thing can stay open. Mikol makom posel titzodayim ele yotzi nylon v'yitol yodav makli imushalim v'kosher tis yadayim.
I would think this would be an issue for the Rabbanim in Sahal, when the soldiers have to go overnight somewhere, be on a march or whatever, be out on duty, and they need those sacks. How do they do Netilas Yadayim in the morning?
Right. Well, I have a sefer called Moed v'Shabbat B'Tzahal, written by Rav Avram Avidan, the former Rosh Hashiva of Shalavim. And he may have something in there. Regarding, and we could send an email to Rav Rimon. Sure, he'll tell us what the army.
They have these hard plastic cups that collapse. So they do have a base kibble, but you can collapse them. I mean, I remember as a kid, we all took them to camp. They're still around. In fact, there's a Shabbos to go kit, a very popular Shabbos to go kit that's made in the UK that for Kiddush actually has one of those collapsible cups. So there's several layers, you screw it together, and they could use that. I mean, because that apparently is kosher for Kiddush, I assume, because it's got a hashgacha on this Shabbos to go kit. Whatever.
The Gemara in Chulin offers another rule concerning the usage of certain types of vessels. Amar Rava, magufat chavit shetikna, you have the top of a barrel and you hollowed it out, noitli mimenu liyadayim. If it holds a revias, and that was not its usual designated function. You sort of created a base kibble. You have a wooden barrel, and you had the top of a wooden barrel, but you sort of dug out some base kibble, like a receptacle, in the top of a barrel. You can use it. According to Rashi, the Gemara means that even if a vessel was not initially designated as such, it may be used for Netilas Yadayim if one fashions it into a vessel. So according to Tosfos, the issue at hand is that the stopper cannot stand by itself unless one stands it up. The Gemara's intent is that if one can do so, then the vessel may be used. Shemeshupasi, it's slanted. Ve'ena yosheves ela mesumeches ke'en kisu, koser shel kesef. It's like a cover for pictures, or kisui kankanim, or for drugs. The tikuna, the correct, making it, fixing it, hainu sherchiva momata, they widen it on the bottom. Yosheves shalom mesumeches. It can sit without leaning. Now, before you make this correction, you can't use it. Then base kibul shalah chashu. It doesn't have a deep enough receptacle. Even shemba loishe below smicha, hayu amayim nishpach ve'en nishar ben revius. V'amar la'el kli shein mazel revius and not bimena. If it's too flat and doesn't have a receptacle for it to hold revius, then you couldn't use it. According to Tosfos, it would seem that one cannot use a ladle that does not stand on its own, meaning a ladle normally leans against the pot. So that's what he meant, that it can't stand on its own. The Shulchan Aruch, based on the Rosh, that if a vessel was made that way originally, even if it cannot stand on its own, it can be used for Netilas Yadayim. a kli that has to be leaned on something else in order to be upright. Is considered a kli, and therefore the Piskei Tshuva permits using it when you have no other vessel. You can use a ladle that normally takes soup or gravy, even though it doesn't know the revius when it's not supported. It was made for fluid. Shaper nikras kli echshel until yadayim. It can be used. Safal or kli acher behesig yado. If you have an easy use of a cup, using the ladle is not preferred. The Yalkut Yosef writes that's permitted to use a plastic bottle that stands due to an external attachment, something that was more common in the past. Hu adin shemuter lito yadami bakbuk plastic shel chavrat tempo amiyutzarim biyamenu av sheyesh betachtito mitkan plastic shachor hagorem lebakbuk shiamod yatziv. I don't know what they're talking about. Some kind of, I remember tempo, but it had some kind of bottom, a device that made it stand. I mean, all our water bottles today can stand. They're made a certain way that allows it to stand. So let's go to there. Concerning the klis for Netilat Dayim, dealt with by the, but relates to whether one may wash using a bottle with a narrow opening, such as a plastic water or soda bottle. To answer this, now, you notice a soda bottle is going to be thrown away. So we're back to our issue of, well, if it's going to be a disposable thing, so maybe they're talking about using this over and over and over again. You're on an overnight and you have a plastic bottle, you're going to use it multiple times.
Or it could be glass.
Or glass, or such as a plastic water soda bottle. So let's look at the Gemara in Gittin, which discusses the case of pouring water on half of one's hand and then on the other half. Boy yadayim. Taharas l'chatzayin oin taharas l'chatzayin. Can you take a hand and purify half of it at a time? El de komashi paga paga diyadei. It means he washed his hands in two parts. He washed one half of his hand and then washed the other half. You can't be mitar your hand half and half. If you still have liquid that is on his hand, so when you wash the second half of the hand, some moisture remains on the portion of his hand that is already washed. And therefore, one might think that this liquid joins with the water with which he washes the second half of his hand. So it's not allowed, but that was the Havamina. According to the Gemara, washing part of one's hand and the other part does not fulfill Netilat Yadayim. But Ilfa is uncertain whether the case where moisture remains on one's hand after washing the first part maybe is different. The Gemara doesn't answer the question.
How does that, Ernie, how does that differ from a cup without handles?
Because we said the cup without handles, there's no chisaron in the cup.
No, but you're worried about the water that's on the hands.
No, here we're talking about you have a hand that's tummy, and he washed half of his hand, but not the other.
Oh.
And then he washed the other half. Is it mitzvah? Say it's not.
Okay.
But Ilfa had a havamina. Maybe since there's a little moisture, there's like sea roof, and it's as if it worked. So the Shulchan Aruch says, "Notal mixus yodo." He washed part of his hand. The chazer v'hoisif v'noitel hashar, and then he did the other part. Hareyodo tmei kamosha it didn't work. Deinitil chatzoy. V'madan yeshal mixus hayad shenotel b'tchila tofech amnas latfiach harei Torah. But if there was a little moisture remaining, then it works. The Mishnah Berurah cites a Machronim that in the second case of the Shulchan Aruch, the washing is effective only b'di'evin. By contrast, if one only waits for a brief interval in between the two times one washes, it's defined as you wash continuously. You have to do the whole hand at one time. It doesn't have to be done at one pouring. As long as you didn't pause between each act of pouring, it's considered one act of pouring. So the Shorim HaMitzuyan Ba'alacha rules that using a bottle with a narrow opening for Netilas Dam is permitted as long as one pours the water continuously. See, the problem with a narrow opening is you're not going to get the water on your whole hand. You may only get it on part. So as long as you pour continuously and there's no pausing, it would be permitted. This discussion assumes that using plastic cups or vessels is permissible. However, as discussed above, some poskim are stringent, at least when other cups are available. It's like what we said before regarding.
Why does it matter? I mean, if the issue is if we get enough water coming out, it should be the same issue with glass or plastic.
I would say it's the same.
Yeah, so this discussion is relevant.
But they're saying even plastic.
Okay, even I accept.
If it's glass and it's not disposable, then you don't have the problem. That's why, Yaakov, you're comfortable with glass. But if you have a plastic bottle you're going to throw away, then we're back to the same problem.
No, but the issue here is whether enough comes out from the narrow opening.
Yes.
That issue is
It's the
without
same.
regard to whether it's plastic or glass.
Exactly.
Okay. Fair enough.
Exactly. Okay. So we're moving ahead with the Netilas Yadayim. You see, it's quite lumdis. There's a lot of interesting sugyas here that lead to the final halacha. Okay. We're going to do that. Join me now. I'm going to sign off, Mario, so you can close the